Hey, Fresno, what time is it?
It's time to stir it up!
Welcome to Stir It Up, a weekly program produced by a collective of local activist organizations in Fresno. Please join us as we educate, agitate, and pontificate.
And good afternoon. This is Richard Stone with the Fresno Center for Nonviolence segment of Stir It Up, a second Wednesday every month. And today I'm very pleased to have with us two guests from Gay Central Valley. They're nodding, I got it right. Chris Jarvis and Kaylia Metcalfe. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Afternoon.
And we'll be with them in just a second to talk about the recent Pride Festival and about the community center that they're involved with. But first, I just want to give you a quick reminder that the center has its movie presentation this evening at 7 p.m. with a potluck at 6:30. And tonight our film is A Dream in Doubt, which is about the impact on the Sikh community after 9/11. Not a well-known subject, so please go out and find out about it. Okay, Kaylia and Chris, why don't we start off first with just a little bit about yourselves. Kaylia, who are you? Where are you from? How did you get to Fresno? And how did you get hooked up with Gay Central Valley?
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm relatively new to Fresno. I've only been here for a handful of months. I met somebody at a shindig at somebody else's apartment and was invited to take part of a panel dealing with sexual stratification and gender identity. And through that, I made a couple other connections. I was eventually asked to be a writer for gayfresno.com, and now I'm a pretty regular volunteer at Gay Central Valley and helping at the LGBT community center here in Fresno, right here in the Tower District.
Is this kind of new to you to be a gay activist, or is this?
Oh, no. I've brought more than half of my life I've spent being an activist of one sort or another, and actually the LGBT was one of the first areas in which my activism bone got tickled. And so I feel very at home in the community. I was active at the Billy DeFrank Center in San Jose and the Diversity Center in Santa Cruz. So this is just kind of a natural place.
Okay, well, welcome to the Valley. We need you. Okay, and Chris, what about you?
I'm actually a native of Fresno. I got involved with Gay Central Valley, which was then Gay Fresno, in 2005, so almost 7 years now. We initially were just a group of not-for-profit websites, and in 2009 we became an official 501c3 nonprofit. And then at the beginning of this year, in January, we opened the Fresno LGBT Community Center here in the Tower District.
Okay, well, I need to say before we go any further that we're pre-recording this show, so we cannot take call-ins, but please listen. We just finished the annual Pride Festival, Parade and Festival. Do you have any reflections on it? Do you think it was successful?
It was really successful, especially considering I've been going to Pride festivals in Fresno since 90 or 91, and I've never seen it rain, and it rained the entire day. It rained during the setup of the floats, it rained during the parade, it rained during the festival, but considering that, we usually get for Pride about 3,000 to 3,500 people. We got anywhere from 2,000 to 2,500 people this year, so considering the situation, it was very successful. It's the 21st annual Pride Parade. And it happens every first weekend in June every year. They were a little short financially this year. The economy had a play in that. Groups in general are finding it difficult now to get funding because people are trying to figure out where to put their dollars. So actually the festival was free this year. At the last second they decided that it would be free, which I think helped motivate people to go to the festival. The festival was a big success. It turns out we may need to modify it next year where it might be a smaller festival. We'll still have a parade, but there were new prices this year, like the police department charged $1,600 to police the event, where in the past it's been free. And there were other additional charges that came up. So with the economy, donations are down. So it may need to be modified next year, but it'll still happen.
Okay. Kaylia, what did you like best about it?
Well, I really like the diversity of the people here at the Fresno Pride. I have been involved, like I said, San Jose, San Francisco, Santa Cruz, and you tend to see the same sorts of people. The groups can be mildly diverse, but here in Fresno, you had families with little kids, you had people my age, and you had people Chris's age, and
I'll pretend I didn't hear that.
And even older. And it was really nice to see the whole community coming out and being supportive, and not just the people in the parade, but the people along the sidelines cheering the parade on, and that was really special.
Has there been any opposition to the parades recently, or?
There actually was, when the Pride Parade started back in the early 90s, the KKK would come out every year. And I actually remember the first Pride, the KKK was there in full robes, and my partner at the time went over and pulled off one of the hoods of one of the KKK people and started a ruckus. And they were there the first year, second year, and by the third year they were out of their robes. They were still there, but they weren't very vocal. Dan Waterhouse, who's an independent journalist in Fresno, he pointed out there was one protester there this year with a picket sign that had some biblical verse on it. I actually didn't. I saw him from afar, but I didn't see him up close. But that was it.
Yeah, I remember one of those early on times when the Dykes on Bikes stopped right in front of the KKK contingent.
Exactly, yeah.
And got off their bikes and embraced each other and gave big kisses.
That happened. There was also, at that point, there was a group called Queer Nation, which they knew that the KKK was going to be there, and I don't remember if this was the first or the second year, and they came out in, one of them came out in a big pink robe, KKK robe, and they danced around in front of them. So, yeah, we always had some kind of counteraction to them.
I do also remember early on, I was so disgruntled when the coverage in the press was they gave equal time to someone gay and someone countering it. And look at Jeff Robinson and the other folks put in countless hours putting this together, and they give equal time to someone who just wants to voice an opinion.
And that's I appreciate the media in Fresno because they are our allies. They cover whenever there's a gay event, they come and talk to us. It's easier now that we have a center and they come and talk to us there. But there's only been one story in the past 2 or 3 years that I can remember that Jim Franklin from the Cornerstone Church wasn't tacked onto the end of it. And I actually approached a reporter who came out to interview me when President Obama's administration stopped defending DOMA. And I asked him, I said, please tell me that Jim Franklin is not going to be at the end of this story. And he said, actually, we had a discussion in the newsroom, and he's not going to be. But that's the only one that he has not been tacked onto. So we still deal with that.
Well, to show you how old I am, one of my first involvements when I got to Fresno was with I can't remember, Prop whatever it was, where they were trying to get gay teachers out of the school.
Oh, right.
And I wound
I can't remember the number either. What was that?
I wound up being one of the spokespeople, and so they'd interview me, and every time they interviewed me, they'd also interview someone from People's Church.
Right,
said,
exactly.
But we never talked to each other. I said, this is ridiculous. So I wound
that
up
was
going,
Proposition 2, wasn't it? I think it was.
Maybe,
I can't remember, yeah.
But I wound up going over to People's Church and talking with them over there.
But what's interesting is when there's a religious story, they don't come and talk to us afterwards. So it's just, whenever there's a liberal issue on, they always have to go talk to somebody religious, it seems.
Okay, Kaylia, why don't you tell us a little bit about Gay Central Valley? What you folks up to?
Oh, okay. Well, my involvement with Gay Central Valley is through gayfresno.com. They have other websites as well, and they're just kind of a blog, basically a place for people to get information and connect to one another in the community as an online presence. And then more specifically, the new LGBT Center right here in Fresno, here in the Tower District, that Gay Central Valley has set up.
It should be more specific. Where in the Tower District?
Yes. Okay. 1055 North Van Ness. Is it
And
North Van Ness or just Van Ness?
North Van Ness,
North
Suite
Van Ness.
C.
Suite C.
In the Van Ness Towers.
And that's just
It's about
south,
a block and a half south of Olive.
And that's the same complex where Metro Ministry is.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and the center's open 5 to 6 days a week. We're still working out our hours of availability, but Usually there's somebody there for specifically, I'm there every Thursday, noon to 5. Come on by, visit. And basically it's there. We have a lounge area with a lending library of VHS, DVDs, books, magazines, newspapers, community link, etc. And then there's just a workroom. There's a free Wi-Fi computer there for people to have access to, and just a place for connection and community. We're going to have a lot of events coming up, and that's the really exciting thing, is that now that we have this physical space and we can have groups like Trans in Motion come in and have a physical place for them to have their meetings, and we can also do things that aren't group specific but that are community specific. So for example, there's an anthology that's being put together right now of people's coming out stories, and it's a great program, and we're asking people to submit through the summer, and we're going to have 2 different days, writing workshop days. So you can come in. If you don't have access to the internet at home, you can submit your story right then. You can get creative insight, grammatical help from some grad students and some writer group leaders, just as a way of keeping the community together. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of things planned.
What are the plans with the anthology? What shape is it going to take? Do you know yet?
Yeah, it'll be a printed anthology, and we want it basically to have it accessible in all the libraries, not only on campus libraries, on all the different junior highs and high schools and colleges here in Fresno, but also in the public library system, so that LGBT youth can see that other people have had the same issues that they're having, but they were able to come out. And stories basically of hope. And you don't have to be LGBT to contribute to the anthology, but basically we want to have an idea of how people's coming out, either yourselves or someone you know or who you're close to, has affected you, and kind of how that came out and how it worked out for them. It's basically a message of hope, hopefully.
Chris, what are your hopes for the community center? What would you like to see happening there?
Well, it's a small space. What happened initially was Gay Central Valley was looking for an office space, because in the past we've just worked out of our homes, so we were kind of scattered. So we were looking. We do a fundraising event every year, which we're doing again this year, which is a fireworks stand. And we do that at Palm and Olive between June 28th and July 4th, and only nonprofits are allowed to participate in that. And we make most of the money for the year through that fireworks stand. It's a really great way to make money for nonprofits. So we did it last year, and we had some money in the bank. We thought we wanted an office. We found this one that was recently vacated, and it had a space in the front that we thought, since a lot of other groups, for 30 years, groups have been talking about a community center. And CCA was one of the most recent ones, and they had started to raise funds. But most of the groups in the past have aimed at a community center or the likes that you would find in San Francisco or Los Angeles, which would be tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars to pull that off. So we've seen a lot of groups struggle and fail at it, and we wanted to have some starting point. So when we found this office that had the space out front, we said, let's make it a fledgling community center. It's not something where we can have, physicians and swimming pools and the kinds of things other community centers may have, but it's a start. So what we're doing now, as Kaylia mentioned, is we're trying to have monthly events, social events. We've had some workshops. We've had an art workshop, the writing workshop she's discussing. We have several groups that hold their monthly meetings in our space. Even on days when we're not available, we still go down and open the office for them. So what we really want it to be is a place where the entire community can come together. In other words, we're providing the space for them to make it what they want to make it also.
And let's not forget also, that's really important to have at the community center, are flyers and information about all the associated groups here in the area. And for me specifically, it's been really nice while I'm there. The people who tend to come in, it's been people who are new to the area, and they come to an LGBT community center seeking guidance, how to get involved, information about other groups and organizations, and this is like a one-stop shopping ability for that. And of course, we've got, supplies and art supplies and condoms and rainbow bracelets and the whole kit and caboodle there.
Okay. Do you have in your head, for example, like what might be happening next week? What would a week look like?
Well, right now we're open Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
So every day but Tuesday.
Every day but Tuesday right now. Now, we're going to be we have a board meeting today where we're going to be firming up the hours, but generally it's about noon to 5 every day. Sunday, it's earlier in the day. It's a 9 to 12, and there's coffee and donuts provided. While we don't have right now, the events that we have now are like on a monthly basis. We just had an art event. So toward the end of the month, we'll have another event. We only open in January, so it's just getting started. We're putting feelers out there for groups that want to have their own events there. We're going to be having a kind of a yard sale this summer where a lot of items that have been donated we'll have in the parking lot, and people can come by and purchase them, and the money will go toward Gay Central Valley and its efforts. So we're slowly growing and expanding, and we urge any groups that are interested in utilizing the space for what they need it to come and talk to us.
Okay, we're going to take a brief break for the community calendar now, and we'll be back with Kaylia and Chris from Gay Central Fresno in just a